Mazex evaluation ballot. We really would appreciate Mazex and Canadian Dairy Expo that you fill these out after each speaker and deposit them in the milk can over by the entry. That will help us better know how we did this year as well as plan for next year. So thank you very much for doing that. And you also have a chance to enter a drawing for $1,000 of seed from Mazex. Next, for those of you who would like French-English translation, we do have that available. And if you will come up here to the front, to the left, we can provide you with a headset, and the translator will translate all of the speakers for you tonight. Thank you. And now, we'll bring up our next speaker, Mr. Juan Carino. He is the co-founder and CEO of Genetic Resources International and Sexton Technologies. As a result of his stewardship, more than 400 patents have been granted for their work, with 200 more pending. Juan is truly one of the pioneers in the field of reproductive physiology and has authored numerous articles as well as delivered presentations on sex semen to many organizations around the world, including the International Embryo Transfer Society. Please now welcome Mr. Moreno as he provides you with an updated report on enhancements to this technology and the resulting value and benefit to your dairy operation. A warm welcome, please.
I'm not too familiar with the use of this little toy, so I had to get caught up here in a quick second. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to this short talk about what sex semen in the past, the present, and the future. And basically, it's important for us to think of new technologies that it takes a little bit longer than most people think it takes to get into a point where the end user benefits from it on an everyday commercial basis. Let's see how this thing works. I'll use the laptop instead. I remember the day when my parents in their house still had a phone like this, the rotary dial phone, 35 years ago. Most of us have forgotten the existence of those phones, and we easily think that we jumped all the way to the iPhone. Well, the reality is that it actually took 35 years to go from the rotary phone to the iPhone. And likewise with sex semen, it's actually taking 35 years from the day sex semen first came out as a concept till today. And I like to talk about sex semen in 3 periods of time because most of us just have to couple the stories about sex semen during those 35 years. The first period of time with every technology, like it was with the phones, is a period of time where the price of the product is really high, the product is very, very simple, and in the case of sex semen, the fertility was very low. And that period of time lasted from 1984 to the year 2000, so it was a span of time of about 16 years. Then you get a second period of time that goes between 2002 and 2012, where the price wasn't quite as high, it came down a little bit, the quality of the product improved, and now we got a third period of time that I call in the last 3 years, where there's a tremendous increase in value for the end user, when the product is reasonably priced, and where we have a tremendous increase in the fertility and the conception rate of sex semen. And that last item is something we're going to talk about here today. Also, we are at a period of time where sex semen now can be used at the same time in combination with genomics, IVF, combinations of beef and dairy cow, that give it even greater value for the end user. So a quick list of remember where sex semen came from. If you go back, it was all the way back to 1976 when they thought about actually having a population of sperm cells and being able to measure the difference in the DNA content between the male and female sperm cell. So from 76 to 2014 we're in, it's 38 years, and that's the reason I use that span of time of 35 years. The series of improvements between 76 and 89, so over the period of 13 years, led to finally in 1989 the first live calf being born from sex semen. So it took 13 years from concept to actually a live animal being born. Then we got another period of time that we go from 1993, where actually sex semen was first used in IVF. So the creation of XY Incorporated, who got the original technology from USDA, was the inventor of the technology. So XY is created in 96. That's 17 years ago, 18 years ago, right? And then XY raises money out. And with the money they raised from private investors, they started investing in improving the technology, and that led to the next 10 years of development of the technology. In 1999, finally the sex semen was frozen. So it's only 14 years ago that the first straw of sex semen actually was frozen. So the frozen straw of sex semen was capable of producing a baby. Then in 2002, Sexing Technologies was formed, and in 2005, you all might remember Monsanto made with their decisive program a big splash about sex semen. They were going to come out with a new technology and so forth and so on. That technology was acquired by Sexing Technologies about 2009, 2008. So the whole Monsanto portfolio was acquired. And in 2010, a different technology that involved microfluidics for a company in Boston called Cytonol was also acquired. So basically, in about 2010, Sexing Technologies was able to put together 4 different sets of technology. The technology that Monsanto had developed, the technology that the USDA had developed, the technology that XY Incorporated had developed, and the Cytonol technology. And then with the combination of the 4 technologies, we started a very intensive period of work to improve sex semen. Because to be honest and straightforward, even though sex semen was released commercially 10 years ago, we all know the fertility of it wasn't quite good enough. And the price of the product was high. And the bulls that were available in sex weren't that many bulls that were that great. So in 2014, which is this year, a new product is being released in the market that is named Sex Ultra. And we'll go through some of the process and some of the work that was done to reach this point. Basically, sex semen is about identifying the male and the female sperm cell. And the basic difference between the male and female sperm cell is the size of the X and the Y chromosome. The X chromosome for the female, the Y chromosome for the male, and there's a difference in the total DNA content between the 2 chromosomes. Basically, all chromosomes in the whole body, 30 of them, 29 of them are identical. The only one that is different is the sex chromosome, the X and the Y chromosome. And that's what we're trying to separate, so we can create 2 different populations of sperm cells, either male or female. That difference exists in all mammalian species. In birds it's different, but in all mammalian species there is a difference in the DNA content. So there actually have been dolphins born, dolphins are mammalian, from sex semen, goats, sheep, horses, deer, elk, obviously cattle, humans, with basically the same technology. Basically what it is flow cytometry. It's an instrument that is capable of, at a very high speed, identifying the amount of DNA content that cell has and be able to make a algorithm that measures that DNA content, places it on the screen. The more DNA content, the higher is on the screen. The less DNA content, the lower is on the screen. So the area that is defined as Y, those will be all male sperm cells. And above that area will be all female sperm cells. Depending on the size of that area, one could create populations that are as few as 99%. So the capability does exist to make a sperm sample that is 99% female or 99% male. For commercial purposes, up to 2004, most samples were 90% female and 10% male. In 2014, we expect that ratio to go up to about 93 to 94% female as a result of the improvements in the technology. So going back to history a little bit, between 1990 and 95, the machine was able to process 200 cells per second. The purity, or the desired gender, was only about 83%. And the fertility was about maybe 70% of the fertility of conventional semen. And if you had an exact little semen that could make 1,000 strokes of conventional, you can only make 10 strokes of sex. This is a picture of Dr. Larry Johnson, who is the original inventor of the technology, and he deserves all the credit for what we're here today. Then between 95 and 2002, the speed went up from 200 cells per second to 1,000 cells per second. And the purity went up from 83 to 85%. And the fertility went up from 70% to about 80% of conventional semen. Now instead of making 1,000 strokes of conventional, you can make 50 strokes of sex. And this is a machine that was used for doing that. That machine uses analog signal processing. And so it's not quite the rotary phone, but it's the old touch tone phone that you had in your house. Okay? This machine is totally obsolete, but it's what was used for 20 years to sex sperm cells, including all the sex semen that was used in the field up to last year. Starting in 2003, all that equipment was changed, and now all labs in which sex semen is stored have the new digital processing equipment. Actually, the digital processing technology came from Monsanto, so that's part of the sequel. So we go between 2002 and 2012, which is the period of time where we all remember this. Sex semen is commercial now. Now the machines are able to sort cells at 5,000 cells per second, so we went from 200 to 1,000 to 5,000 cells per second. The purity of the desired gender is about 85 to 87%. The fertility is still at 80%, but now we can make, from 1,000 strokes of conventional, we can make 400 strokes of sex. But now we are in the period of time where it's actually commercially viable to launch sex semen, and that's where sex semen came into use in North America during that period of time. Now during that period of time, it was expensive. Okay? The fertility was low, and you didn't get the best bulls in the product. And this is what those machines look like. We still have the old push-button phone, the digital machine, but now we have an update on the laser processing, an update in the media, and some things that led to improvement. This is a picture of the actual Monsanto machine that led to some of the big changes. This is the machine after it being in our labs for about 2 years. The upgrade, we played with the machine, made a lot of changes. We finally gave up with it because it was about 95% right, but it was missing about 5% to get to the finish line. But we could never quite get into the finish line. But we did take a lot of that technology and mixed it with the old technology. And now we got to 2013, which is basically the last semester of last year. And this is where the really big changes happened. We went from 5,000 cells per second to 18,000 cells per second. We went from being able to have the purity of the desired gender, which is an 85 to 87% range, to really a 93% range consistently. And then we also went from the 80% of the sex semen fertility in relation to the original semen to a very confident 92%. And I'll show you actual field data of several trials that have been run in the last 2 years in very large numbers demonstrating this. because of the improvements of the technology, now we're also able to actually make more straws of sex semen out of an ejaculate than you can be able to make out of conventional semen. And that is a big change. Because it used to be a year ago, if you had to make 1,000 straws of conventional, you could only make 200. So it was not economically feasible for a lot of the high genetic value bulls, or the bull studs, to put it in sex. Because the bull studs would actually lose money by doing that. But now they can actually make equal number of straws or more with sex than conventional. So there's absolutely no reason why the best bulls wouldn't need sex anymore. This is the machine that made the big change. It's called a Genesis 2. There was a predecessor to this machine that was called a Genesis 1. And there's two machines side by side, a Genesis 2 and a Genesis 3. We've actually changed in a period of 36 months equipment 5 times. Equipment has become obsolete 5 times in 36 months. The sorters that are in the labs in this year are those 2 types of sorters, Genesis 2 and Genesis 3. Genesis 3 is actually a fully automated piece of equipment that basically is a plug and play. Plugs to the wall, you put the sample, you press the button, and the rosary is already fully automatic. That's how much technology is moving forward. So, in 2014, we'll be running at that 18,000 to 20,000 cells per second, which is a long way from the original 2 to 400, and obviously a long way from the 5,000 that we did when commercial sex semen first became available. The purity is consistently in the 93% female ratio, and we believe that we will be at basically identical conception rates to conventional semen by the end of spring of this year. And we can make equal number of straws of conventional and sex. This is some of the work, but I'll just jump over a few slides real quick. We've done a lot of work in New Zealand with LIC over the last 3 years. And I'll summarize that work in this table. In 2011, we did 8,600 artificial inseminations, in which was the first big change in sex semen that we were testing out in large field trials. The non-return rate at 24 days for sex was 65%, while conventional was 69%. So there was a difference about 4 percentage points, and the 94% means sex is 94% of the fertility of conventional semen. This is not frozen, this is fresh. Okay? Big difference. However, it was the first indication to us that we were in the right path. So we came back in 2012, but this time we did 12,000 artificial inseminations with LIC. And now we went up to 67%, and we went up to 96%. And then in 2013, we did 21,000 AIs with LIC. And the data just came back last week because the breeding season is different than here. And basically, sex semen was at 98% of the fertility of conventional semen. The difference of 2% was 21,000 AIs, both heifers and cows. And for all practical statistically, there's no difference in the conception. So in 2013, seeing the results with fresh semen in New Zealand, we decided to start working on the frozen results with sex semen, and we launched some pretty large trials. In Ireland, we did a trial with the National Cattlemen's Federation and the Bull Studs United. In Ireland, with frozen sex semen, we did 13,000 artificial inseminations, and basically the results are public all over the media in Ireland. If you want to Google it, we're basically at 90% of the conception rate of conventional semen with frozen sex. So it's a big jump from 80 to 90%. That trial did not include all the changes that are being included in the spring trial that we're doing this year. We did also a trial with Select Sires with over 10,000 artificial inseminations. We had an increase in fertility rate versus the old sex semen of 5.1%. And again, we were roughly about 90% of the conception rate of conventional. Again, an improvement from the old 75 or 80% that we all been used to for 10 years. also got 6,000 official inseminations in Germany with the DGI group, and that one came about 91.5%. We also got 3,200 AIs internally, and that is the product that's being tested right now as we speak this spring. The first 3,200 AIs, we got about 94.5% of the fertility rate of conventional semen. So, in 2013, fall of 13, and spring of 14, we're testing Sex Ultra in 6 different countries with over 40,000 AIs. When I made that slide, today we got over 100,000 AIs going in the field to test the conception rate of this product. So the field trials are ongoing. Alpha Genetics in Canada, the GGI members in Germany, Select Sires in the US, Viking Genetics in Denmark, TWGST in the US, Evolution in France, Opex and Humanitest in France, Swiss Genetics in Switzerland, and CRB in Denmark. Each one of those tests on their own, each one has about 10,000 artificial insemination. We're testing conventional versus frozen sex, both in cows and heifer, under different management conditions and different protocols. There are other trials that are not on this list because we have not come to the final agreement with the different boosters and how those trials are run. By the time we get in with all the spring trials, we should easily be over 100,000 artificial insemination. What do we expect from it? We expect that there's significantly higher conception rate with sex semen, and that the product can be used with very high degree of confidence in both heifers and cows. You gotta keep in mind that after this point, we're almost all people only using heifers, not using cows. Who knows what is using cows? Horses as well. Sex semen can become available with the high genomic goals, and the combination of sex semen and genomics to generate greater value for the end user. The straws, the people in the market will start seeing the straw being labeled in a different way. They're actually being engraved starting in the spring of this year. When you run your finger across the straw, you're going to feel the engraving. It's not going to be a good straw. It's a special laser agent that allows it to be more easily readable. My eyes are not very good anymore, and reading a CC straw is a pain in the neck. It also has a different kind of barcode engraving system, so you can take your iPhone, take a picture of the iPhone, and take it directly to the website and find out all the information on that book, because that type of barcode holds a lot more information than the regular type barcode. So they're repackaged different. During this period of time, we expect to finalize the implementation of full automation. And what full automation will do is the only magic, right? Reduce the cost. The cost of production goes down. The end users will see a lower cost in the product. Well, I think it's a great year for sex semen. It's a great year for the end user. We expect to be, at the end of this year, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the future, to be up to about 120,000 cells per second, to be rated at 93% purity, and to further increase the production of sex semen versus conventional, and to reach about equal conception rates to conventional semen, to be able to process and ejaculate in an hour. And the old equipment that we first used to process and ejaculate took about 24 hours. Through the years, we've come down to about 8 or 6 hours. The new equipment is actually capable of processing and fully ejaculating in an hour. And then we're looking at new species like pigs because we can process so many cells that now doing AI and sexing in pigs is actually a valid possibility. This is a new sorter that will come later this year in 2014 or early 2015. It's called a Gigasort. It's a microfluidic sorter. That chip that you see there is the size of a credit card. It's got 72 sorting channels on it. So that is equivalent to 72 machines. The equipment is on testing, but we go through very thorough testing everything we do. As you can see from the original LIC trial, that when we went in the field was 2011, today's 2014. It took us 3 years with a lot of field testing to really corroborate that all the changes we were making were working, they were repeatable, they were consistent, and the quality of the product could be maintained, and that it could be released to the public. Today's sex semen is available all over the world, obviously, from many bull studs. We service every bull stud in the nation and in North America that think up in many bull studs, as well as in Europe, Japan, and China. So the product is pretty widely used all over the world. It's a great time for it because there's a lot of other technologies that are coming together at the same time. So end users can benefit from combining technologies, not just about vaccine, it's obviously about genomics, or you might call it DNA markers. It's also about IVF, one or multiple ovulation and transfer, and obviously they can all rely on artificial insemination. And I think the combination of all those technologies is what is able to give the producer a greater value for what they're buying. It takes a lot of people to move the technology forward. It takes a lot of people to make changes. This is the engineering team at Cytonom that was in charge of all the development advances and all the equipment and disorders. Likewise, there is another set of about 15 people that have been working for the last 5 years exclusively on the biological side, and the work of all those individuals is what allowed the improvement to occur. And that's all I got for today. Hope I didn't make it too boring, but I just want to give you a quick catch-up of where it was, where it's come, and where we're expected to go. And the most important thing for us is that we feel very confident about the improvements in the fertility of the product and the greater value for the end user. And again, like I said, the availability of high genomic dosage of sex in the 2014 year. Thank you very much. Sure, if anybody's had any questions, we want to go.
Not today. Marcus, excuse me, Juan, we're very happy to have you here today on behalf of Canadian Dairy Expo.